Good morning, friends. Today it's really good morning. It's a quite romantic and pleasant morning today. And in such weather, we are going to discuss about two romantic poets, Coleridge and Wordsworth. Uh, Let me make it clear, friends. We are not going to discuss about the poetic abilities or about the poetry by Coleridge and Wordsworth, but they were good critics also. And we are going to focus our ideas. We are going to concentrate on S.T. Coleridge and William Wordsworth as critic. Look at the slide, please. Today's our topic is William Wordsworth and S.T. Coleridge as critic. Let us start with Samuel Taylor Coleridge, born on 21st October 1772 in England. He was a good poet, critic, and philosopher also. William Wordsworth, 19th century poet, critic, and philosopher. Next slide, please. Both of this, William Wordsworth and Coleridge, they were romantic poets, and in their poetry, we see the reflection of nature, and both of them they followed nature. Back to nature was a slogan by romantic poets, and they focused on nature in poetry and in all the works, even in drama, and they wanted the reflection of true nature in all of the literary works of that particular period, especially 19th century. Next slide, please. Now, friends, we are going to discuss about S.T. Coleridge. Coleridge was a man of stupendous learning, extraordinary in both philosophy and literature. He read about ancient as well as modern literature and philosophy. As a critic, Coleridge's practical criticism. As a critic, his practical criticism was very much appreciated. He focused on practical criticism and he gave theory of imagination and fancy. Look at the slide, please. His practical criticism is always illuminating and highly original. It is rich in suggestions of far-reaching value and significance and flashes of insight rarely to be met with any other critic. Next slide, please. As a critic, Coleridge, he has sensibility and penetration of intellect. He is enough sensible towards nature. We can say he was one of the pioneers of romanticism and focused on nature, and he had that sensibility towards nature. Next slide, please. Like neoclassicals, Coleridge does not judge on the basis of any rule. Coleridge doesn't believe in passing any judgment, and he does not pass any judgment about any literary works. He gives us suggestions about the literary work and leaves on the reader to pass the judgment. Coleridge was the first to introduce psychology and philosophy in literary criticism. His literary criticism was not coarse, not like mathematics. He introduced the psychology of that particular poet or writer and the philosophy reflected in his or her work. Moreover, that Coleridge revolutionized the concept of artistic imitation through theory of imagination. What is this theory of imagination? Let us discuss about this. Next slide, please. He says, Coleridge says that poetry is not imitation. It's not simple imitation of the nature, but it is a creation based on sensation and impressions received from the external world. It simply means the poet, whatever he sees in the external world, he reflects his own impressions, his own sensations with time, with enough thinking. So he says that poetry is not simple or mere imitation, but it's a creation based on sensation and impressions received from the external world by the poet. Friends, these impressions which are taken from the external world, these impressions are shaped, should be arranged in order, modified, and opposites are reconciled and harmonized. These opposites are the juxtaposition, and according to Coleridge, the juxtaposition makes the ideas very clear. So, opposites are reconciled and harmonized by the imagination of the poet. It simply means that whatever the poet gets from the external world, the reflections he arranges in shape, he gives the shape, he molds it, he modifies it and put juxtapositions and harmonize the ideas and then put it into his or her poetry. Now let us discuss about William Wordsworth. William Wordsworth, preliminary, he is a poet and not a formal critic. But his age, his necessities, he became a critic of contemporary poetry out of sheer necessity of his creative and poetic urges, and so he turned his career as a critic, and he is the first critic to turn from the form of poetry to its substance. He focused on the feelings, in the emotions of the poetry, and not the form, not the set rule, not the external thing of the poetry. He focused on the emotion, the inner thing, the substance of the poetry. Wordsworth is the first critic to build up a theory of poetry, and this theory of poetry gives an account of the nature of the creative process. There is a constant creative process in nature, and Wordsworth puts emphasis on that it should be reflected in poetry. Friends, Wordsworth, as we know that he is one of the romantic poets, so he puts emphasis on novelty, newness, freshness of the idea. Experiment, nature is constantly giving us different experiments. There are constant experiments in nature. He gives liberty like a butterfly, liberty like a bird. So he puts emphasis on novelty, freshness, experiments, liberty in poetry, and of course spontaneity. As we know that according to Wordsworth, poetry is a spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings. So he gives emphasis to spontaneity, inspiration and imagination. The inspiration from the nature and imagination of the poet, all this combines good poetry. Wordsworth, through his literary criticism, demolishes the old and the faulty and opens out new vistas and avenues. Wordsworth criticizes on the set rules of poetry. He demolishes that old and faulty ideas about poetry and opens out a new vistas and avenues for poetry. He discards the artificial and restricted forms of approved 18th century poetry. As we know, Wordsworth is from 19th century, so he gave his ideas in in such a way that he wanted to discard the orthodox ideas about poetry of 18th century, and he disgusted by the gaudiness and inane phraseology of many modern writers. He criticized poets who separate themselves from the sympathies of man. Poet should be with the man, the common man. He should not sit on an ivory tower who is quite far away from the ideas, from the feelings of common men. So he says that these poets of 18th century separate themselves from the sympathies of man and indulge in arbitrary and capricious habits of expression. They use formal expressions in order to furnish food for fickle tastes and fickle appetites of their own creations. The poet himself enjoys the fun, the happiness of his own creation, but the poetry should not be only for the poet, it should be for common men, and everybody should enjoy the poetry. So the poet cannot be separated from the sympathies of man, and he should be with the emotions of common man. Next slide please. Wordsworth concentrated with classical emphasis on he contrasted with classical emphasis on authority, tradition, restraint, correctness, accuracy and artificial language. Let us think about authority. He rejected authority. Why? There should be experiment, and experiment should be free from any authority. Tradition, yes, one should follow tradition but can introduce something new, and the poet has all the liberty to introduce his fresh ideas. So he contrasted tradition, he threw away the restraint and correctness. Poetry should be accurate, but accuracy accuracy should not take place of emotions, and artificial language should not be there. He contrasted with artificial language, he restricted artificial language in poem. Wordsworth, as we know, he pioneered Romanticism and he followed the slogan first follow nature. Next slide please. He followed nature, he worshipped nature. That is why as a critic he wanted nature very much in all the works of literature. So he discarded Aristotelian doctrine. For him the plot or situation is not the first thing, it is the feeling that matters. Next slide please. Wordsworth portrays the emotions of village girls and peasants. According to Wordsworth, these village girls and peasants, they speak natural language. He doesn't give much importance to the nymphs, the fairies, the gods, the goddesses, because they are quite far away from the language of a common man. He wanted to spread the ideas. He wanted to spread the ideas of literature among everybody of the society, each and every person of the society. He wanted to spread these ideas in every layer, each and every layer of the society, and that is why he portrays the emotions of village girls and peasants. Let us compare and contrast both of these critics, William Wordsworth and S.T. Coleridge, as both of them they are from the 19th century and gave ideas on criticism of that particular age. During 18th century, the catchphrase of literature and art was reason. As we know friends, reason is a coarse word, and any piece of literature cannot sustain or cannot be popular on only reason. It should be wet, it should be polished with the fillings. So 18th century reason was the catchphrase of literature and art. Publication of lyrical ballads challenged the ideas of artificiality and reason. Any piece of literature gives ideas, imagination, pleasure to the reader or to the spectator. Here in lyrical ballads, both of them challenge the ideas of artificiality in thought, artificiality in imagination, even in language and even in the treatment of the theme and subject, and codes reason in literature. So they challenge these ideas by the publication of their lyrical ballads. This lyrical ballad contained poetry of William Wordsworth and Samuel Taylor Coleridge. What was the main object of this lyrical ballad? The main object was to assert the poetic value of a selection of the real language of man in a state of vivid sensation. Okay, what is this language, real language of man? The real language of man is colloquial language, the language which common people speak, rustic people of village, of countryside, they speak. A selection of the real language was the motto, was the object of this lyrical ballad in a state of vivid sensation. In this lyrical ballad, the ideas are around origins of poetry in the poet, and the second one, the role of poetry in the world. Next slide, please. In this particular book, Wordsworth asserts, first, poetry is the language of common man. In poetry, there should